Listeners be advised. The Soliloquy podcast discuss matters related to the human experience and many that are sexual in nature. Due to this, some conversations may surround triggering topics such as sexual violence, self-harm, abuse, and much more. Please be advised, a list of crisis and psychological resources will be available in the show notes of this episode. With that said, let's get started with the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention please as we go through the following safety instructions.
In the event that there is a loss of cabin pressure, oxygen mask will drop from the overhead. Place the mask over your nose and mouth. Breathe normally as oxygen is flowing even if the mask is not inflated. Be sure to adjust your own mask before helping others.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Soliloquy podcast, where we step out and speak on sexuality. This is your favorite host, Vernon T. Scott, also known as Slaytor Jackson, and for you freaky motherfuckers out there, Sebastian Adams. On today's episode, we are digging into the mind, talking about relationships, is mental health and relationships, people. And I have Melissa on the line to discuss that with me. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, it's great to have you here. It's always a pleasure. Just to, remind everybody who you are. Do you mind doing that for us?
Of course. So yes, my name's Melissa, spelled with a Z. It's not that exotic as people like to think it is. I've gotten so many different names. I've gotten Meliza, Meliza, all kinds. But anyways, I am the host of the Talkative Introvert podcast. So if you end up liking this episode and like listening me talk, go check that out. Other than that, that's pretty much it about me. Everything else is a little boring, so I won't get to it.
It's not boring. She's phenomenal, y'all. She's goals.
Thank you.
As mentioned, we will be talking about mental health and relationships. The first thing that we had on the docket, I don't like that word. I really don't like that word.
Docket?
Yes, I don't know why. It just sounds weird. Docket. I'm not going to do that because when you say something sounds weird and people just starts to say that over and over again, then it becomes even more weird and people just like, you know what? That is a weird word. Like desk. All right. But one of the topics that we were talking about in the intake meeting was finding the one. And one of the things that I mentioned to you that I really admire is that you found your one, and it's your current partner, your husband. And I love that for y'all so much. So did y'all meet in high school or in college?
In high school.
That makes it even cuter. Oh my God. let me get out my feels.
Okay.
So what is it for you when it comes to finding the one? Most definitely, what was it that made you and your partner pursue each other? What is it that you liked about him, and what did he like about you from whatever if y'all had that discussion? So what was it about each other that brought y'all together?
So we met in high school. We were both 15 and he's actually my brother's best friend. So that's how I met him. No judgment, right?
None at all.
So I guess, so what kind of like attracted us together? Well, other than, my brother introducing us, was kind of similar for them. So I went to a very white school. There's, just a very small handful of us colored folk. There really wasn't that many. I think there was like in my class, I think there's just like one other Filipino chick, and we knew of each other. We weren't really friends, but we acknowledged each other as a, you're my fellow like Filipino.
We're in this
But
together.
yeah. Because there have been classes where I was literally like the only brown colored person, and like everyone's white. My husband is also half white, but he's half Filipino. But what like really got my brother and him like becoming friends, I think he mentioned like my brother was drawing like Goku from Dragon Ball Z or something. And it wasn't very common for people to like anime in our school. It's very, I don't know why. We also went to kind of like a rich school, but we also were not rich. They had our school district here has open enrollment. So like that school, for some reason, I guess it's because they get really good scores, like star testing and stuff. So it's a like sought out school. But anyway, so that's why my parents wanted us to go there. It's a good school, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But it was a little different. And so he was kind of like the only other person that like also liked anime and also liked playing video games and also liked all this kind of stuff. And so that's what really attracted us to each other. And we liked similar music at the time. We really liked emo music, I don't know. Are you a millennial?
I am.
You are. Okay. So you remember those days.
Yes. It was a great time. I remember the metrosexual to the emo to the, we're just here.
Yeah. Exactly. So that's like what really got us attracted to each other, is that we like similar things, and we used to talk to each other a lot. We used to chat on MySpace. Do you remember that?
Oh my God, MySpace.
I'm like aging us right now.
Yes. MySpace was lit though. Look, when you get to make your design your profile, that's Facebook would never win because of that. Like they had middle school, high school students learning how to code before coding was actually a thing, like for other people to do. Like the fancier the MySpace page, the better you were. And I miss that for us. I miss that so much.
Yeah. Like, I don't know if you have a younger audience, but for people who don't understand what we're talking about, MySpace was like super customizable, and you could change your background, but you had to do coding. And so there'd be like websites where you can like copy and paste, but if you want to like change a color, you had to like go in and change that code and all that stuff. And I loved it. I wish social media was more customizable.
Right. Like I remember my page had like a playlist. So I made sure that my playlist was able to start as soon as somebody logged in, like came onto my page rather than having to find it. I had some glitter coming down on like in the front part. I think I had like wallpaper that had all my favorite cartoon characters on there too. Then I customized the mouse that people had when they came onto the profile.
Oh, I remember that.
It was so lit back then. Like you had personality when you came onto somebody's profile, and that's the thing that I love so much about it.
Yeah.
Now everything's just the exact same.
Yeah, it's so boring. Like, do you remember your username?
Oh yes. Because I kept the same username throughout. Like it was always Trellmon, Trealmon. For all of my social media accounts until recently, and changing everything up for the podcast. But that was the standard.
Yeah, mine was Pacific Islander for life.
Yes. The number 4.
Yeah. Of course.
Love it.
Oh. Anyways.
Oh God. Sorry, y'all. We had to have an old moment.
Yeah, just don't mind us millennials.
Oh, we're not appreciated enough in this country. So look, I love it. Oh, what were we? Oh, we were talking about you. How we ended up on MySpace because
because we used to chat
about the chat. Yes.
Yeah. So we used to chat like every day on MySpace, and yeah, we just like built our relationship, and he used to come over a lot because obviously, my brother's best friend. So he slept over a lot. I saw him all the time. I saw him at school. And at the time, I think so, like right before he asked me to be his girlfriend, I was actually dating somebody else at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason why I was dating this other dude was because I just figured like, oh, well, he'll never date me because I'm his best friend's sister. So I'm just going to like go date this other dude. So yeah. And then I like was chatting with him one night, and I asked him if he had a crush on anybody, and he said yes. And I was like, who is it? And I was like naming off our friends because we had like some similar friends, and then he just like he just kept saying no. And I was like running out of a list of like girls names. And then finally he like admitted like it was me. And I was like, oh my God, like he likes me. And it was just so cute because like I liked him back, but he like didn't want to disrespect my brother. And so like he actually asked my brother if it was okay to ask me out. And I obviously like broke it off with the other guy. I was like, the moment I was like, okay, bye.
You were here as filler. It's okay. What we're in high school, you will heal. I hope.
Yeah, he's fine. He ended up dating like a bunch of people, and I don't know what he's doing now, but I'm sure he's fine.
Like, that is so beautiful. Oh my God. If y'all are tearing up, I am too, y'all. I am too. Did you hear it? He asked her if he asked the brother, y'all, make sure it's okay. And then that's beautiful. Okay, let me get out my feels. Get out your feels, Vernon. That's so beautiful though. Like I think that is like the fact that he thought about showing that respect to your brother to make sure that he'll be comfortable with it, and then bringing that up to you, and then you just having that mutual connection and love for him too. And that's just, I love love, y'all. I love love.
Me too. And I think ours worked well because we did build that connection, and we were friends first, and we already knew that we are compatible, like at least from a friendship level.
So how, before y'all started dating and whatnot, how long did y'all know each other? Like, because you did mention that your brother and him, they were friends beforehand, but was it like childhood friends, like kindergarten, or?
No, it's only been like a few months really, because I just started high school. So he's a year older. So him and my brother met each other, like, I think they met in like geometry class or something like that. And they were sophomores. So they just became friends that year. But they clicked so fast and became friends so fast that like, he was like already sleeping over and coming over and hanging out like beginning of the school year. And so school starts like August or whatever. And so we started dating the March after. So however many months that is.
Oh, so the lesson I learned today is anime can lead you towards your relationship. So watch anime, y'all. Increasing the fandom, one person at a time.
There you go.
So I know this doesn't really stick for like, everybody, because, we all have our own things when it comes to relationships and how we find our one and find our person. But what are some of the things that for yourself, would you say is the qualities that ensured to you that you found your one? The Holiloquy podcast focuses on the variability of sexual expression. When it comes to sexual expression, we often depend on pornography to illustrate how one must perform sexually. For those who have not learned this by now, the stuff you see in porn is not real. Pornography provides a singular perspective of sexual expression that is not often the reality we see during our own sexual encounters. The Holiloquy podcast is a conversation that takes you outside of the compressed box of what many know about sex. Some of the topics we discuss includes kinks, condom usage, status disclosure, and past sexual experiences. The Soliloquy podcast steps out on sexual norms and recognizes that the norm is not the only normal. Subscribe today and join the conversation. For yourself, would you say is the qualities that ensured to you that you found your one? Was it because of the friendship that y'all built beforehand solely on that, or was it the personality, the communication? If you can name like 5 or more things that really built that connection and make you realize that this was the person that you really wanted to be with, what would that be?
Whew, okay, let me think about it. So I'm just thinking about, it was really hard when, like, high school was great because it was easy. You know, you went home, you only saw each other at school, really. Because when we started dating, my mom's like, yeah, you can't sleep over anymore. So we really, my brother was not happy about that. So we only got to see each other at school. And so I think our relationship, even though we've been together since we were 15, it really didn't blossom until like after college, kind of. And so we did move in together at 18. But during that time, like 18 to like your early mid 20s, you really are just trying to figure yourself out. Mm-hmm. And so that during that time was a huge struggle for us. Like we almost broke up a bunch of different times. And so I think what kept us together, though, what made us stronger at the end is that we figured ourselves out. You know, like we understood ourselves. And, you know, there's that saying, like, how can you love? What is it? What does RuPaul say? Like, how can you love yourself, or how can you love anybody else if you can't love yourself?
I think that's it. Something like that.
Something like that. But like, anyways, if you guys don't know who RuPaul is, like, where have you been? Right. But yeah, so we like figure ourselves out, and also like our communication got better. Communication will always be key. You hear that all the time, and it's still like a huge pain point for a lot of couples. And it's like, just talk to each other, you know, be vulnerable with each other. Like if you can't be vulnerable with each other, then you need to figure yourself out. Like, why can't you open up, and why can't you be that? So I guess like communication, vulnerability, and the fact that you legitimately enjoy being in each other's space. Like I absolutely hate when movies talk badly about their spouses. Like, you know how it's so typical in a movie for like the husband or the wife or whoever, the spouse is always like talking about the ball and chain, or talking about like how they're so glad to be away from so-and-so. And it's like, if you don't genuinely like being with the person that you're with, why are you with them? Right. You know what I mean? Like, I understand wanting your alone time, and, you know, people are people. You get frustrated, you get annoyed, whatever. But if majority of your time you don't like spending time with that person, or sitting down, having a conversation with them, just something simple, or like just enjoying like their presence there, something's wrong. Like something's, you know, something you need to work on.
I agree. And one thing that really stood out to me is that you mentioned about, you know, the 20s and whatnot, how like that is a time to discover yourself, understand who you are. And I know that is a struggle for a lot of people who are in relationships, because now you're trying to figure out yourself while figuring out your relationship. And then on top of that, you have to figure out who you are within a relationship too. And that's a lot for a person to like, you know, engage in, most definitely at a very young age, because you're still working on a lot of mental development during that time frame too. And I would have to say that I love that, like from my takeaway of it, is that you two provided each other enough space to figure out those things. And I think that's one of the things that really do hurt a lot of couples, regardless of how old they are, is that they do not provide that space to their partners to figure out who they are in those moments.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why am I feeling this way? Who is my partner? Who are they for real outside of our relationship? And do I really like this person? Because there are a lot of people who do get into relationships with people that they don't like. They only like the image of being in the relationship with them. They like what social media will think about them, what their family says their relationship will be.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, you don't like that person. You can't stand them, but you're still choosing to be with them on an ongoing basis. And like you said, why? What's the reason of doing that?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why allow yourself to be unhappy with someone just because of the image that they bring rather than the quality of life that they bring to you?
Yeah, exactly. I think it's absolutely ridiculous how easy it is to get married, but how expensive and like how like torturous it is to get out of it, you know?
Hmm.
Because it's not doing anybody any good to be in a relationship where you're just completely unhappy and upset and mad, and it's just not, it's not helpful for you. It's not helpful if you have kids. It's not, yeah, it's not the
Yeah.
great.
It's a lot. Like, and I get that, in terms of like legal legalities and whatnot, it's the assumption that people are signing these documents with proper guidance prior to doing this, but we don't. We often conflate theory with practice. We think that just because we theorize this is what people are going to do, they're actually going to do those things. A lot of people who do enter into marriages, because to utilize myself, experience that I had with somebody. This is hoeing and whatnot, and I know some people are going to judge me. I don't care. I did what I did, and I did it willingly. But I was in conversation with this married guy, and communicating with him about what's going on, and I'm like, "Why are you on these apps?" Because if you're entertaining other people outside your marriage, I'm going to ask the questions because I want to know.
Yeah,
So I
I want to
asked,
know.
right, like, why are you on these apps? And through our conversations, I realized, okay, you sound extremely unhappy in your marriage. And are you not communicating that with your partner? Like, I don't mind being your friend or whatever, but like, literally, are you not communicating these things with your partner? Because if you're unhappy and they seem from what you're saying as though they're unhappy, why are y'all in this relationship? And I did meet up with this person, and it was mostly to play video games. Other things happened too. Sexual things did happen, but that wasn't the intent of me going over there. Literally, I went there to play video games and I also, further this conversation. But in that conversation, I even learned even more things. And I'm like, okay, you are a person who fits on the realm of polyamory, and you know that you like polyamory, but you are with a person who wants to restrict that part of you. That doesn't sound like an equal, dynamic within your relationship. And I even had to give him like a visual example of where he stands in his relationship, because this is a whole apartment, multiple rooms and everything. And I'm like, when you stand in your living room and you do a full circle, everything in here represents your spouse. And then when you look at your space within your own apartment that you're paying for, you have a closet. Do you not see how visually that's unbalanced, which is a representation of the relationship that you're in, which is unbalanced? Do you do you not see how that's an issue here? How you yourself have a space in your own relationship, but you're not having that conversation to have that. Like, why did y'all get together to begin with? And that that came into an even deeper conversation. And I'm like, I it got to a point where I was like, before y'all even signed those papers, y'all should have actually had marriage counseling. And I'm not saying going to like your pastor and having them officiate. I mean going to a professional who has a licensure in counseling. Like, yes, you can go to your whoever your spiritual guides are, who your like your reverend and whatnot. You can definitely
Mm-hmm.
go to them because they have advice that will benefit your married life regardless. But make sure you have someone who's going to provide an education based off of what works in relationships too, so that y'all have those tools to communicate y'all's problems effectively before you make those decisions that's going to be hard for you to get out of. Now you're stuck in a marriage where both of you are equally unhappy. You're both trying your best to manage this, but you're still restricting each other, and neither one of you feel satisfied. Why stay? Why continue that pattern?
Mm-hmm.
Why not try to fix it?
Yeah. And even like before marriage counseling, like ask yourself why you're even getting married to begin with.
Mm.
Because I was doing an episode on my podcast about about being child free. So we don't want kids. Um, so I did an episode about that, and I was talking to my friend about my dad is a great example of someone who shouldn't have had kids because it's just not the lifestyle for him.
Mhm.
But he did, he got his girlfriend pregnant at an early age, and he did the, quote, right thing and married her and all this stuff. And I think for him, he probably would have had a happier life if he was just a bachelor, because
Mm.
like being in a marriage and having kids just was not doing it for him. He slept around, like he was a womanizer, and he just couldn't stay put, couldn't stay in the house. And for some people that's just how they are, like that's not
Mhm.
their lifestyle. And for this person you're talking about, like maybe he is poly and shouldn't be in a monogamous relationship. And or what did you say? Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. And so like that's something you need to ask yourself, like, are you getting married because you actually want to get married and have this committed relationship? Or are you married because it's like the social norm, it's expected of you, it's it's the next step into adulthood?
Mhm.
And you know what, but there's not a one size fits all. Like not everyone needs to get married and not everyone needs to be in a monogamous relationship.
Yes, exactly. Because I even think about my dealings with my ex. And this is also a part of me identifying who I feel as though may be the one for me. Because I would say my love language is somewhat within music. And if you can make me feel a certain song when I think of you, then I will definitely say I'm in love with you. And that is a feeling that I had with my previous partner. And that actually made me feel as though, I might be open to marriage. Because before then, I'm like, I don't like that so much. It's too much stuff going on there. I don't know. It's not for me. But just even having that feeling of, okay, this might go somewhere is making me think about long-term things that I can do with this one person, just me and him together. I like what I'm seeing. I like the way that this can build. But after that, I also realized that I do like the having more than one person. That monogamy does not necessarily work for me, but if my partner or partners do make me feel that song, do make me want to sing that, do make me want to engage with them in a deeper connection, then that's when I know I found the one or ones for me. Um, yeah, I forgot where I was going with that.
Were you going to talk about marriage?
Oh, yes, I was going to talk about marriage. Yes, but like, but knowing that that difference, knowing that balance, knowing that this is what I'm looking for in terms of my partner made me think deeply about what a marriage will look like for me, and make sure that those partners or whoever I do want to have that long-term relationship with understand what that image is that I don't see a marriage as being restricting. I don't. I see if we have to sign a document, I see it as where we can express each other, our differences. We can express our lives in a very free way. That when it says, sickness and health, I mean that. That when it does say until death do us part, I mean that as well, because I do want to be with you. I do want that those I do want to have like accomplish multiple goals with you. I do want to build with you. And I also want it to be an experience that we both feel happy in. I don't want like, like prenups and stuff like that. I'm
Mm-hmm.
very comfortable with those because that's like a financial decision. But outside of that, I don't want there to be any restrictions on how we express the way that we love each other, or how we may be able to express love with other people, because I want there to be full trust and freedom within my marriage. And just communicating that with a partner is something that is necessary, something that a lot of people don't, many people do not factor in when they do go into making that decision with who they want to marry, or if they are into marriages, is what is my personal definition of what I want within a marriage, and is this person that I'm looking to propose to, do they want that same thing? And if they don't, then you automatically know that's not the person for you. Is nothing bad about it, regardless of how much emotion or how well invested you are in that person. There will always be someone who's willing to meet the same standard of the relationship that you're looking for.
Yeah, I agree 100% because there is, there's two aspects to it, right? There's the
Mhm.
touchy feely stuff, like, um, like for going kind of back to like earlier, like why I thought my husband was the one is because, I have all those feelings. Like when I hear gossip or like drama or something, the
Mhm.
person I want to go to is my husband. Like the because something happened recently and I was just kind of just waiting and waiting for him to come home. And I was like, oh my God, spill the tea. And like we just talked about it and shared the stories. And it goes both ways, like if I'm with my girls and I hear something like spicy or whatever, like I just want to go home and like talk to him about it, like so there are those like touchy feely stuff, but it's also like the other stuff, I guess, like, if you're thinking about it, because I work in IT, there's like the functional side and the technical side. But like the technical part, like, do you want the same things? Do you guys both want monogamous or open relationship? Do you want kids? You don't want kids? If you do have kids, are you going to raise them in the church? Are you going to raise them to be agnostic? Are you going to, and then your like political differences, and
Mhm.
there's so many other factors that go in it, because the emotions are important. They're very important. But like, so is the technical part, because if your partner wants kids but you don't want kids and you end up having kids, there's a good a good chance of you resenting that person for making you have kids,
Mhm.
like, and that's just going to be a part of your relationship. They'll be there in your relationship the whole time. So you do have to like talk about all of that, the technical stuff.
Mhm. And just to double down on something, it is okay for people not to want kids, because I've experienced the shaming myself. Uh, Granted,
Yep.
I do want to have kids in the future, but it's still the why don't you have this yet? And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
are you going to be paying for them or not? Like, don't ask me to have anything that you're not about to pay for. Um, so I was
Exactly.
like, we're not playing these games. But it's like, I hate that. Most definitely, whenever a woman says that they do not want kids, there's that some people have that automatic response of wanting to shame them into doing it, because
Mm-hmm.
everyone should have. No, not everyone wants to be a parent. Like one of my coworkers, I don't know how old she is, and I refuse to ask her, but she keeps leaning towards dating herself, but I'm also trying not to do the mental math to figure out how old she is. Because she's met James Brown and everything. So I know she's at least 50. So there's that. Well, she said that when she knew him when he was like young too. So that's like at least 60. So I know she's at least 60. So it's like, well, her and her husband, they have not raised any kids. They don't have kids. And she said that was the best decision of her life, is not to do that. But she's still the model auntie. She most definitely for her siblings' kids, she's always there for them and their grandkids. She's there for them. She never adopted anything like that. But she has strong maternal energy, and I love that, because it's like going into work, I'm just like, hey, how you doing? And she just calls everybody's baby. And I know she hears this, she knows I'm talking about her. Hey, Miss Pam, love you. But like she mentioned so many times that throughout her life, people ask her, why doesn't she have kids? And even younger, like, because she was in education, some of her students will ask, why doesn't she have kids? And her main thing was be like, because of how y'all act. That's the main reason why. But I'm like, that makes sense, because kids these days can be very, very, very tiring, and I don't want to deal with that. But it's like, there shouldn't be a shame about making a choice in terms of like raising and having that set definition of a family,
Mm-hmm.
because there's many different ways. That can be adopting, that can be, just without kids, that can just be the family that you create, whatever. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think it's really important to tell people that it's okay that you don't want kids. And my family is me and my husband and our dog. That's our family. So whenever I tell people, my family, some people do assume I mean kids, but like, no, that is my family.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay.
And it's a beautiful family, and we are
Yeah.
here for it. So one thing that we did say that we were going to talk about is dating in today's age. And I think you had a story about one of your friends or something of that nature. I don't know. I forgot. I know I definitely wanted to mention how it's rough out here. So if you are already married and you're in a relationship, I'm talking to you listeners directly. Do not get a divorce. Like, while you're in your relationship with your partner, y'all figure out, have a conversation, figure out what's going on. Go to couples therapy. If you love them in the past, figure out why you don't love them now. If it doesn't work out, then break up. And I'm going to warn you, these streets is messy. You don't want to be out here. It is crazy. People. What did I see on Facebook one day? I think they said it's only hot wings, and something else out here. Y'all don't want to be out here in these streets. Y'all don't want to be out here. Have you heard any horror stories about, dating in today's age?
I just know it's slim pickings. Like yeah. So all my friends except for one, I think is single. But my one friend who's not single, she found her boyfriend through online dating, like, I think it was like Tinder or something.
Mm-hmm.
But like, we have a group chat, like me and my friends, and we like my friends like to share, like messages. Like, she'll, like, I have one friend who'll like screenshot a conversation with somebody because she's like, am I being unreasonable? Like, what's the deal? And some guys are just awful, just like awful. Like, if there's a lot of guys who do not like, no, like, don't like being rejected, and they just go off on her. And there's this one guy who was just like so mean, like said like horrible things to her because she said no, or she didn't want to hang out that day or something. And
Wow.
yeah.
I understand that feeling as a man who dates other men and whatnot. It's crazy. And I personally believe everyone needs rejection. Everybody needs that because it helps you grow.
Hmm.
I said it before and I say it again. I do not understand why people can be rejected by over 200 jobs that they applied for. But when it comes to their interpersonal relationships with somebody that they're interested in, they cannot handle that level of rejection. Like that's a personal rejection. I get it. Most of the time it's not because of because of you specifically. It's just them not being interested in you, which is fine.
Hmm.
But even a rejection from a job is still a personal rejection. Like there is all rejections. Like
Yeah. Like, deal
accept
with
them,
it.
deal with it.
Yeah.
Like
No one's
I've
perfect.
I've literally had people that I didn't necessarily reject them or their advances. All I said, like your friend, like I'm not available right now, so we can like plan something out on a future date. Like we can work this out so it fits both of our schedules so that we can, mutually do this and it's not going to stress anybody out
Hmm.
and get backlash from that. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense. Like your reaction to my statement, it's not making sense because I advise you I'm not available right now. And I get that you were looking for some immediate access to me. Sometimes that just doesn't work, but I'm providing you access to me at a different time. Go with the option that you have an available option. You have a window that you can walk through, but you just want to just burn down the entire house when you could have just closed the door.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. It's so weird. Like, but I love getting her stories. I know she doesn't love it, but it's just so fascinating. And like the one thing she gets a lot, or just all women, I guess, apparently, and I don't know, maybe men, just a lot of penis pics.
Oh yeah,
Just a lot.
I
It's
don't
like,
get it.
why?
There's no need for that. It's like
Like,
ask, just ask. It's fine to ask. Like I might be interested in seeing at that moment. Like clearly you want to send this because you're proud of your dick. And so it's the worst person of podcast listeners. I know I said that I have that news thread on the Twitter page. Y'all can still utilize that. Feel free to post your dick pics. I don't care. Whatever news you want to drop, do it. I don't care. I have a pin thread on there, and I just say, here, post your news. If anybody wants to do it,
okay,
they can. But
fun.
that's for those people who love to see news. At least they have a space where they can just see news.
Okay.
But like the worst thing to do is to send me a nude pic of you and think that I'm going to boost your ego. Because that's never going to happen with me. Because what the most I will say is, okay, that's nice. Or ask you the question, how are you doing? Because I'm just going to
Hmm.
ignore the fact that you just sent me a dick pic because I like conversation more than I like seeing a nude body.
Yeah.
Um, and it's like having an expectation that I'm going to automatically appreciate wherever you send because you're proud of it is just going to ruin your day.
I just want to know, like, what's the objective? Like, what do they want? Do they want you to praise it? And I don't know. I don't get it.
Look, I'm big in I am very big on like small dick humiliation now. Now that I know that's a kink. So look, if you just drop in a dick pic into my DMs, I'm just going to automatically go into that mind space that you want to be humiliated. So I'm going to humiliate you and then send you a bill for like payment because I might as well do that. Since you want to drop your dick pics, I'm going to humiliate you and then ask for payment because we're having fun today. Oh God. I'm not that horrible. I am. I really am. But yeah, I just would not ever understand the motive behind it because for me, I rather build up that anticipation. Do things to make me desire to see your nude body. Like
Yeah.
if I'm having just a great conversation and you're expressing yourself and we're starting to talk about things sexually and we are communicating what we like and what we don't like within the those acts, and then you bring up, hey, would you like to see what I have working with? Might as well. Let's see. You asked. And also, if you offer something, sometimes it's best to offer without the desire of reciprocating anything back from that. Like, if you want to share, then share. But that doesn't mean that the other person is required to share the same thing that you sent, because
Yeah.
we did not enter into a business deal. Let me know. Like, did I was that the expectation? Let me know beforehand, because you're not getting it back from me, but I appreciate you sending it. Like, now, if again, if I'm feeling you and I know that something is going to, develop from this, I don't mind sending it. I enjoy my nude body, so
Hmm.
I don't mind sharing it. But again, it's build up for me.
Yeah. Like sending a dick pic is like it's like going straight into penetration without the foreplay. You know
Oh,
what I mean?
why you had to say that? That was exactly it. Literally, that was exactly it. And I'm like, damn, that's real. Very
That hit you.
disappointing. That hit the heart.
That's a sound bite right there.
Right? Wow. Yes. Yes. You said what needed to be said. On that note, is let's go ahead and transition over to never have I ever, cause yes, that's the word. So, you ready for some never have I ever?
Yeah.
So this one is never have I ever called my parents while drunk.
Ooh, have I done that? If I have, I don't remember.
Melissa, you be getting drunk like that?
Not now. I maybe like my early 20s.
Look, I think most millennials have that have at least one drunk story that they definitely do not remember, and I think there's a good number of us who've had like blackout drunk stories.
Oh yeah.
Definitely have two. Uh, Subscribe to the Patreon if y'all want that story. um, I have not. I know I have not contacted my dad while drunk. I have definitely contacted friends while drunk
Mm.
to get their advice on decisions, and they're just like, you already made your mind up before you even called me, so why are we, essentially that was the gist of the conversations, and I'm just like, because I wanted y'all to tell me not to do it, that's the reason why. I needed that. But yeah, parents wise, no, not at all.
Yeah, I don't think so. I'm too scared of my parents.
Right.
Like,
Like, I don't need y'all to be knowing what I'm doing right now. Like, I'm drunk. Let me be chill. I'm in my
yeah.
space. So this one, I feel like you've done this. Mostly, this is me gender stereotyping. I will be honest.
Okay.
Never have I ever written something on a toilet wall or door.
Oh, okay. The only time I did was because it was a like a tally. It was like Harry Potter versus something else. What was the versus? Shoot, I can't remember. It's like Aragon or whatever that other like I don't remember other movie. But I was like I had to go for Harry Potter.
I don't blame you. I probably chose Harry Potter too. And I feel, was this like during high school?
This was in college.
That was my second guess, because I swear I used to hear plenty of stories about girls' bathrooms having like the most interesting things on the walls, like the doors of the stalls, and I'm like, if only that would existed in like the male bathrooms, because it's like, yeah, you might have something in there, but for the most part it's like dick pics. It's like a drawn dick, and I'm like, I
Yeah.
don't care about that. Like,
No, that's true. Women's bathrooms, they're so different from men's bathrooms. And I know that because I used to work at Chipotle and clean bathrooms. But like in the girls' stalls, I remember in college, like some of them are really nice. Like you can do this final, or like you go, girl, or like like if you need someone to talk to, like, and they put like someone's number. It's a lot nicer. But when I used to work at Chipotle, I just remember thinking like, why are boys so gross? Like, no, sorry to generalize, but
It's okay.
in the women's restroom, it was always so easy to clean it. Like you're in there for like 10 minutes, you're done. Like when you're like in the closing shift. But the men's restroom, oh my God. I just remember all like every night was different. And I don't know why, but like sometimes they'll stick toilet paper on the walls for
Mm.
some reason, or they'll like pee all over the place. One time someone smeared poop on the wall, and I'm like, why?
What the hell?
Like, if this is Chipotle, and it was like in a nice part of town too. I'm so confused.
Wow.
It's just been that way though. Like I worked in like two different Chipotles, and I worked in different places, and that's always the case for some reason.
Men, we got to do better. We have got to do better. We need a
Yeah.
supportive bathroom environment. Like, oh my gosh, I would love to go into a stall and just be like, oh, look, a supportive message. Yes, I love it. Thank you so much, whoever you are, random dude 99. Okay, thank you so much for the message. Like, why can't we do this? Like, I will say, like even being within bathrooms that men visit frequently, it's always a mess. Not well, not always, but the majority of the time they are very messy, and I do be disturbed because I'm just like, do y'all not have home training? And I'm tired of going to like public restrooms where multiple people can come in and seeing so many dudes walk out without washing their hands. And this is even during all of this COVID mess, too. I'm still seeing people walk out without washing their hands. I'm just like, you are the reason why we're still in this damn pandemic. You specifically. I don't even know you or your history, but you're the reason. Like, this is why I don't shake people's hands.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
So nasty. It's so nasty out here. All right. Would you like another?
Sure. Let's do another.
This will be the last one before we close out the show. So, never have I ever borrowed something from my roommate, lost it, then lied about it. I messed that up. Never have I ever borrowed something from my roommate, lost it, then lied about where it's at.
I'll think about that one. I don't know if I have. I feel like other people do it to me. Like I feel like I'm the responsible one.
I will have to. Now that you said other people doing it to you, that remind me of something. I definitely had that done to me because it's like, okay, what's going on? Oh, there was this one time my old roommate, she came in the house and she was like, okay, did you drink my it was some whiskey that she purchased. And I'm like, no, I didn't drink it. Like, girl, you drank that yesterday. Like, why are we here having this conversation? But yeah, that turned into, are you sure you didn't drink it? Like, I swear I did not touch that bottle. And I'm like, girl, what's going on? Are you still drunk right now? Like, do we have a problem? Should we have a conversation, girl? Like, what's going on? Like, how you not remember that you drank this? Like, literally drank this yesterday. But I do not recall ever like, because usually whenever I do have roommates, I'd purposely keep myself from touching their things. Like, I'm very open about my stuff. Y'all can use it or whatever because I really don't care. If it's in the refrigerator, I literally purchase it for everybody. So have at it. But when it comes to like their personal things, I'm just like, I don't want to be that person. So I'm going to leave that where it's at, even if I'm walking to the kitchen and I really want to clean up their mess, like on the stove or whatever. I'm just like, I don't want to touch your stuff. Like there was one time, this was in my most recent apartment where I had like two other roommates, and somebody just had their stuff on the stove, and I was planning on cooking that day, but I was like, you know what, that involves me touching their stuff, and I don't, people be weird, so I literally just didn't cook that day, and I just went and purchased something because I'm like, that's how opposed to touch other people's stuff I am, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I'm really in a position to borrow stuff from roommates because
Mhm.
there's only been 2 times where we had roommates because I lived with my husband since I was 18.
Mhm.
And so the first time was like with his sister, but that was only for like 1 year. And then the other time it was his other sister, his cousin, her and her boyfriend, and we all rented a house. But they were like newly 20-year-olds, and we're older, I think by 3 and 4 years. So we were the ones that had the stuff. Like, like I was the one that had like the silverware and we had like the pots and pans. So it was our stuff. So I think that's why I probably didn't experience that, because it would be me. They would be getting,
Oh God, that reminds me of that old joke about people stealing other people's silverware, and I'm like, I get it, but it's like we have Dollar General. Wait, is there a Dollar General or Dollar Tree in California? Because
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
see, we have Dollar General. You can just go there. You can get all the silverware you want for less than $1.25. Well, less than $1.50 because they moved that 25
Yeah, they raised it recently. And I was like, can you still call yourself that?
Right. We need a rebrand. We need just go to the dollar store, STO. I'm here for it. Like, oh my gosh, that would be beautiful. Let me start that. Let's just have a full-on dollar store, and we just know that's where you need to go. Like, it's gonna bring me back to my childhood. Go to the dollar store and pick something up for me. Okay, grandma, I got you. On that note, it is the end of the episode. Again, Melissa, I want to thank you so much for coming on to the podcast. Is there any messages that you would like to share with the audience? Anything at all, like any tips, tricks, things, whatever. I don't know what I'm saying now. Whatever. Yes.
I mean, I don't know if I'm the right person, or I'm not a professional in anything, but I would just tell people, like, if you're going to get into a relationship and if you want to get married or be in a committed one, just make sure that that's what you want, and that you're not doing something because that's what the societal norm is, or that's the expectation from you, or maybe you're acting out of like a traumatic childhood or something. Make sure you're actually doing it because that's what you want, and not because someone else or whatever entity out there wants you to do it.
Yes, beautiful message. Beautiful message. On that note, thank you all so much for listening to the Holiloquy podcast, where we step out and speak on sexuality. Just in case no one else told you this today, you are beautiful. You are worthy of happiness and joy. You are enough and then some. You may not live up to the expectations of others, but that is okay. You are only required to walk in your own shoes. Make each day you live lead you towards abundance. With that said, love you all and see you next episode. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Holiloquy podcast, where we step out and speak on sexuality. You can subscribe to the podcast through your favorite podcasting app and find us on the web at www.holiloquy.com. That's www.HEAUXLILOQUY.com. Share the podcast with your friends and join the conversation.